All right, folks, let's open the regularly scheduled November 6th Board of Selectmen meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Ethan will be in attendance. He's just running a little late. He had a scheduling conflict. If there are any conflicts of interest, please make sure we disclose that. Any adjustments to the agenda, Joe?
None, Madam Chair.
Perfect. Review and approve meeting minutes for October 16th.
Approving minutes from the Board of Selectmen's October 16th meeting.
Motion by Jim, second by Wendy. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous, Joe. Any public to speak on a non-agenda item?
I get a quick one.
Okay.
Johnson and Darrell, Cross Street. My neighbors approached me talking about the water quality, and I know that the town's on it, and I've spoken with the folks from the water department. And what it is the quality of the water, and you know, the brown, the iron content, staining of the fixtures, and paint, laundering white clothing stains that, and of course the odor and the taste. I realize that it's not harmful to people, and it's just I know it's been an ongoing thing, and like I say, I know the town is aware of it. But what my neighbors have asked me to ask is, what is the next step? What is the town planning on doing as far as the water quality? And I realize it's likely to be a delivery issue, so it's somewhere in the pipes that is causing the iron to be introduced. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's not the only place in town. I think somewhere down in Sandy River Plantation, maybe up on Pleasant Street, is also affected by it. But basically, I just wondered what, if any, there's a course of action, or what can be done about the quality of the water.
Okay, so water quality is the service comes into your home. Is that what we're talking about? What comes into the private homes? So I will let you know that the water district is quasi-municipal and we don't do anything with that, but we can certainly follow up with them and let them know that we've heard a couple of issues with some of the water quality and see. I wish you could say. I know.
I saw him during the week, so we talked about it.
Okay.
I understand that they're on it, but I think that, you know, by bringing it forth as, you know, something here at this meeting is probably, I don't think it's affected on your end where you are, but I think it's everything from the extension, so Allen over to the dump road.
Okay.
And that's, of course, right where I am, and it's
So
going on a while.
I would absolutely follow up with the water district. I am not 100% sure when their meetings are. I'm so sorry, I should know that. And then I will ask Joe, if you don't mind, just kind of follow up and let them know that we heard complaints at this level, and if they could look into it, someone is looking for next steps forward. Okay,
Sure.
sorry, that's not a whole lot I
No, I
can
get
do, Joe.
Yeah, I get it, yeah.
Anything else for public to speak on non-agenda items? Perfect, all right, we will move on, boards and committees. Yay, my second update. Sorry, I get excited. I'm so excited you guys are doing this. Thank you. Hi, Lee.
Hi.
Lee's very excited too.
You're up, you're up. So with the planning board chair, Mr. Libby, here with an update for us?
What would you like to hear?
Whatever you think is pertinent information for us to be aware of.
It's about as boring as it gets out there.
Okay,
No.
okay,
I think a lot of shoreline zoning stuff, obviously trying to make everybody conform as much as we can. Chapter 38 has put a few restrictions on some stuff, which is why we worked so hard on it and got it passed. Other than that, nothing big. There is, I think the biggest thing we got is the Rangeley Workforce Housing Project on Cross Street. I gave my board members until the 5th to get all questions into Matt Tier and John Moswowski, I think his name is. And they were submitted to the town, and we meet with them again on the 8th. I don't think obviously it's something we need. I don't see any huge issues with it. But that will, because it will have to be a public hearing. Everybody will be advised, but that's the biggest thing. There's another one coming up, Rangeley West on the other end of town. They finally sold all their lots. They're coming back to try to develop the remaining land, and that's gonna be 18 more additional lots. And I don't think those will be super high priced lots. I think that's gonna be more in the affordable range as well. So this affordable housing thing that we all talk about so often, it seems like some things are moving forward with it. But other than that, there's nothing crazy. The new code officer, Breck and Kyle, are awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good hire. Yeah, Breck was super good. Yeah, those guys are smart. So, yeah, they're a big help.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, Billy, or anything going on at the planning board?
I have just a quick question, Lee. Thanks for coming. I appreciated you updating us for sure. Regarding the attainable housing on Cross Street, I was looking at, that's on our agenda later on here today, but I was looking at the map and I noticed that it was sitting on a division line between two districts. So
Yes.
were you contemplating like an overlay district for that, or how are you gonna navigate that?
I think what's gonna happen is this is the second time they've been to us and it got cut back quite a bit. So basically, we gave them the guidelines for what they could do in residential and what they could do in village, and they combined the two. So they're trying to be inside. I think with the first meeting they had with us, trying to get a feel for us, they didn't feel any. You know what I mean? We were trying to keep them inside the perimeters of our guidelines, chapter 38. That's
Right.
what we do. And I think that's what they've downsized to 22 units with 14 buildings, which is about what they could do with the two combined.
With density and all
Zones,
that
yes.
in both those,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Perfect, thank you.
Well, you guys are discussing that tonight as well?
Madam Chair, it's primarily an update
Yeah.
that the planning board received last time. So there's a planning portion and then there's the TIF portion that I'm working on separately. This is taking focus from the developers right now, the planning portion.
Yeah, they came to us just to get a feel for what we thought. And on the first meeting, I guess we didn't scare them away, so they came back. I think the meeting tomorrow night, if we don't see anything, or Wednesday night, if we don't see anything that jumps out at us as, that's not gonna fit in chapter 38. I think we're gonna kind of give them our blessing to move forward.
Great.
Thank you so much, sir.
Can I talk
appreciate-
about one thing?
Is it an agenda item or something?
No. Okay.
No, it's okay, go ahead.
Oh, it's just a side note of this. You were there, when we did our joint meeting with planning board and selectmen's board. And we finally solidified chapter 38 and it went to the voters. The one thing we did say was that we were gonna table the sign thing until after the vote, and then we would readdress it. And if one more person asks me about the sign thing.
So, just so happens, in the next update from the boards and committees, I, as the ordinance chair,
Okay.
will be discussing what I believe should be our path forward. And I'm asking for somebody to give us the directive that I think is supposed to be given to us. So how about I roll into that? All right, so I am offering the update from the ordinance committee as the chair of that committee. We have finalized a draft of the alternative energy ordinance. I have an incredible team of people who work diligently on everything that's put in front of them. I gave each of them their own meeting to tackle it. They each had an hour slot. They gave all of their input. They addressed everything they think needed to be addressed. We think that it's a solid document that now needs to go in front of the attorneys because there's some ambiguous language that we aren't thrilled with, but we know the attorneys will turn the key on some of that language for us and get that situated. So that was voted at the last meeting to go in front of the attorneys. That alternative energy ordinance is ready for attorney review. In the event that that goes well, that will be on the annual town meeting warrant. That is the plan at this point, is to get that one on annual town meeting warrant. The next one that we are tasked with from this board was the vendors. So that is our next, that one is not going to be ready, and I think I can comfortably say this, not going to be ready for June. That one needs some serious work, not just the ordinance, but the application. We need to dig down, peel apart, decide what level we're gonna put vendors in. I think it should be almost a step
Right.
ordinance. It's really kind of an extensive work document that we need to, so I don't see that one being ready for June. We assume that that one might be ready for a special town meeting in November. Next, because we had someone in attendance at the last ordinance committee meeting, I was kind of caught off guard by someone who was in attendance when it hasn't even been directed to the ordinance committee yet to take care of the sign ordinance. So I'm asking that we vote to move that to the ordinance committee, and the ordinance committee is aware that it is likely coming to them and being tasked to them. We would like to begin reviewing that.
Yes. Do you need a action or a motion?
I do. I need a motion to direct it to the ordinance committee, please and thank you.
Oh,
He's good at that.
I know.
He is. Motion by Jim.
Second.
A second by Wendy. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you so much, and we will get to work on that as well. Does that work?
That's perfect. Now I have an answer.
Yes, sir, you do. Mr. Genasi,
yes.
I noticed that the rest is just minutes from everybody, so that's fantastic. But as the chairman of the park commission, when do you want to give us an update?
I can give you one at the next meeting if you'd like. I'd
Next
like to
meeting?
get
Fabulous.
all my thoughts
Yeah.
together from those intense meetings that we have.
Perfect, okay, and we have minutes from the zoning board of appeals, park commission and planning board. Wonderful. Now we'll move into consent items. An event permit for the Giving Tree.
Make a motion to approve the event permit for the Giving Tree.
Motion by Jim. Second by Sam. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, that was a discussion.
Just a topic.
Go ahead, no, please go.
Just since we're on the topic of the beautiful wonderful tree that it is, I know it's struggling to talk about. Has like a certified arborist been in to check on it and see what's that, you know, what state it's in? I know talking to Chief Bacon and Patty, I mean, they're looking at it.
Well, because we discussed it at the park commission with the, along with the monument down there and everything. We did have Frank Sinera come in and take a look at the tree, if I'm not mistaken, last year or quite a while ago. And it's just beyond the point, obviously, trimming down and whatnot, but we had looked into replacing it, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think that ever took off.
Right, so Madam Chair, that's absolutely correct. There has not been a budget item for that yet, and the Parks and Rec Director and I've talked about this in the last couple of weeks, that we should put a budget item in for next year to handle that. If it's more than what this budget will handle. So the reason I say that is the time to plant that is May or June. So he's got a lead on someone that can get us a tree that's 10 or 12 feet tall. That's probably the appropriate size to put back in there. So we're still trying to figure out how to make that work. I think we, meaning the town, can dispose of the old tree when that time comes. Probably want to have an expert at least guide us to get the new one in so that it's got a good chance of survival. One other note is that we did do some trimming. When the star came down, the star's been painted, so that's going to go back up. We did the trimming that we could for this year, but the hope is that we can place that tree. But however, that's the other component that Patrick and I talked about was we want to make sure that the Parks Commission knows about this, that the Giving Tree is okay with this, that there's a good communication prior to us doing what it is we're gonna do, so it's not, doesn't sneak up on everybody.
Right.
That was the last conversation we had, was, if we have it in the budget, if we can find it somewhere in the budget, we'll pull it off this May or June. But if it turns out to be too expensive, then we're probably gonna have to budget it for next year, maybe try and do it in the fall. You don't wanna do it in the heat of summer, and can't do it in the middle of winter, spring is the best, or fall is the second best. And we do, one other thing, Madam Chair, we do have brand new lights for the tree too this year. So there'll be new lights, the stars been painted, tuned up, so those will be going back up soon.
Perfect. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous, Joe. All right, grant acceptance, NNA risk reduction, 3,000. Joe, would you like to give?
Sure, Madam Chair, this is a grant that has been on the list here for a while. Rich Brown is the person that spearheaded this. It's for railings at the transfer station. So around the 7 years ago or so, we had some railings put around the waste cans, and they didn't hold up that well. So they had a beefier design for some new ones. Rich got the quote on that, put it in. It's gonna cost a little more than 3,000, but they will pay 3,000 of the total cost. So we're at a point where it's been applied for, and now we just need board acceptance of it and final approval.
Perfect, so you're just looking for a motion from the board, correct?
That is correct.
Make a motion to approve the grant, the MMA grant in the amount of $3,000, safety grant,
Motion by Jim,
risk reduction enhancement grant, sorry.
second by Wendy. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you, Rich. All right, next up, fire department reserve. 2,700 for 2020 Skidoo Expedition Extreme Snowmobile. Stream, okay. Joe,
So
can
Madam,
you give us a little bit of a update on this and what that will do for inventory,
I can do that.
please and thank you.
Sure. So what Chief is proposing is to move along a couple pieces of equipment that he infrequently uses, and extract the value out of those to go towards something that he would like to have that would be more useful to him. The two items are listed there is a 2002 Skidoo snowmobile, that's a value of 800, then a 2012 Yamaha Rhino that's a UTV. It's got a possible estimated trading value of 6,000. Again, those have not been used frequently by the department, and a snowmobile, utility snowmobile like the Scandit that's pictured there, or the Expedition that's pictured there, would be more useful to them. So in terms of inventory, we have two sets right now. There are 3 snowmobiles in each set of rescue equipment. One is a tow vehicle with 2 chase sleds. So the tow vehicle pulls a toboggan, chase sleds carry personnel, equipment, and so forth. So obviously there's a snowmobile here that would be replaced. It's 2002, would be a direct replacement. And then the value from the Rhino would make up a lot of the difference. So the remainder of the request is from reserve, fire reserve, 2007. So it's kind of a combination motion to authorize the use of 2,700 from fire department reserve, and also authorize the town manager to dispose of that equipment.
Want me to get specific, or can I just say?
Jim's looking at you. Give me permission to say so. That's all he wants to do.
Just say so. moved.
I can't give that permission. You can.
You want me to basically say everything you said again?
Motion by Jim to authorize the town manager to dispose of the 2 requested items in trade and to authorize the expense of 2,700 from the fire department reserve.
I think that's what I said.
That's what Jim said, yes. Second by Wendy.
He's
Any
an
further
accomplice now, so.
discussion? Yes, Sam.
Is there a warranty included in this? I mean, they haven't even tried this snowmobile out. So, I mean, is there something like in case something happens after they start taking it out, a couple test runs? And is that gonna be, I didn't see anything listed in this.
Well, it's not a brand new machine, so it's unlikely to have a full factory warranty.
But with costs, with some kind of coverage. I don't know if that's something that could be dealt in.
I'm sure that they would take care of us, but I didn't have, a written warranty for
Yeah.
this here.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Right, FSP 100% forgiven loan, DEP. So, yeah, I'm looking for the
Yeah,
paperwork.
there's,
So anything.
there's nothing in here for you.
Okay.
This is just really a kind of an update, but it does require a couple of motions. So we were, applied for a grant through the State Clean Water Revolving Fund and the Maine DEP to do the rate study, the fiscal sustainability plan and rate study for the sewer plant. You probably remember that. The original estimate was 60,000, 6,000. The actual work came to just under 30,000. So it's a 50-50. We pay 50%, and then 50% of it is not. This is where it gets a little cumbersome. 50% is principal loan forgiveness to our bond that we took, the loan that we took for the sewer department. So we get $14,126.08 back from the bond bank. It's called a loan, so there's a loan agreement that I have to sign, but it's really a grant that's given to us. It comes right off of our bond debt. So there are two components, except the loan, again, which is really a grant, and then authorize me to execute the document. It's a DocuSign document. Legals looked at it, finance directors looked at it, I looked at it.
Make a
And this-
motion. Go ahead.
It's the culmination of that grant we applied for around a year ago. And there were two. There was the fiscal sustainability plan and then the climate action plan. So the first one, we didn't get weren't successful with the application to the bond bank. This one, we are. So that's why I'm bringing it to make sure that we get it turned in time.
Make a motion for the town manager to accept the loan from Maine Municipal Bond Bank in the amount of $14,126.08. Do you want these motions separate?
Doesn't have to be.
And also to authorize the town manager to execute the documents.
Motion by Tim,
Second.
second by Sam. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. All right. Correspondence. I don't see any, sir. Is that accurate? Old business, attainable housing, Cross Street. This is the update you're going to provide for us, correct, Joe? It's just in relation to the letter.
Correct, Madam Chair. This is what was provided to the planning board recently. I believe the chairman has covered most of this already. And again, just to reiterate, the developer is focusing on the land use application of permitting at this point. We haven't abandoned the TIF discussion. That's still happening. They're focusing on this, getting the permits in place.
Yeah, I heard the questions. Go ahead.
Just as far as they want to create several units of housing that would be priced in the neighborhood of 200,000. Is that each
That would be per unit.
per unit, each $200,000? And then that's what they will, is that what it's gonna cost us to build, or is that what they're gonna sell them at?
Go ahead.
I think that's their sale price, and I think that's on the duplex units, so each unit would be. So there's multiple units, they gave us a big presentation, actually, we have full sets of scale drawings. So I wish you could see that because it's much more intensive, but yeah, I think the base units and the duplexes start at 200,000. And then there's some single family homes, that obviously will be a little bit more than that. I think they're gonna do a combination of selling some units and renting some units. That's their goal.
Because yeah, I mean, 200,000 is not. It's pretty, I think it's pretty pricey
Actually-
for a third.
Actually, Franklin County right now says that $280,000 is affordable housing. Because I tried to get, so the state was doing a program which these guys have mastered, because I haven't mastered it yet, but. The state was offering that if we built houses for 280,000, which they consider affordable housing, they would give us, as a general contractor, they would give us a supplement check at the end of 60,000, which would bring it up to 340, which actually makes it, affordable or worth doing to us. There was just some stipulations. One, it had to be set up for solar on the roof in the future. Future charging station, and it had to have some form of electric heat, which could be run by solar in the future. That was their requirements. Those guys have this, they're working with the state on this, but yeah, it's hard to believe, but their new Franklin County affordable housing is $280,000, which is approximately today's interest rate, $1,800 a month.
Well, that's because what I just was reading about is that rent is 896 out of the greater Portland area for low income housing.
Yeah.
Which is 800, below 1,000, so that, and that's the greater Portland area, so I can't imagine it'd be double that up here.
No, and I don't know that, excuse me, I don't know that the target is low income. I think the target is attainable, which would mean somebody that's
It's a
working.
difference between attainable and affordable.
Yeah, and
Right.
it's- and-
Okay,
and-
because yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah, there's a difference between attainable and
Well, they even call it workforce housing. I don't know if that's a different classification too, or what.
And I don't know what a bartender makes or a waitress makes, but I know what a starting carpenter makes, and it's $75,000 a year. So to me, if you're a carpenter with a wife that works at the health center, or if she waits tables, whatever, that's not unobtainable by any means, you know what I mean? It's a start.
It's a start, I agree.
It's a start. The best part about that program is there is a plan. Our concern was how do you keep, so if I built a subdivision with $250,000 houses in it, and I did 40 of them, it would take a week before somebody came along and offered them $350 for it.
Right. That's what I
Right,
was gonna
so
say.
how do you keep that in its intended use? And their
deed
program,
restrictions.
Right,
yeah, so their program basically says if you sell this unit within X amount of years, you have to sell it back to the LLC, basically. Which is what we were thinking, but we didn't know the lingo how to make it. But there are deed restrictions which you can, in fact, put on those units that keeps that unit in its intended use forever. I don't think they have a bad plan. And they're putting up the money. I don't know about the TIF grant, I don't know how that works with the town, how much we have to put up, but I think most of it's coming out of their pockets, so. if they wanna try it. I'm all for it.
Do you have additional questions or anything?
well, I
That was
was,
a perplexed look. I mean.
I was just thinking that too, is, kind of similar to the Habitat for Humanity plan is, having a deed restriction and so forth. $1,800 for, what is that, rent for like one of the units of.
No, I'm sorry, $280,000 today, I think at current interest rates would cost you roughly $1,600 a month for a
Right.
mortgage payment.
And for half a house, that's probably similar to the greater Portland market. We don't have single studio apartment buildings here. I mean, that's a totally different type of housing. I'm curious, and I think the plan's great, we definitely need it, it's good that we've got somebody willing to participate. I'm really curious about what the TIF conversation is gonna be like. That, because there might be other ways that are better to facilitate, you know, underwriting or, you know, facilitating the financing of this project outside of the TIF program. Something to consider.
Yes, ma'am.
Just kind of spitballing off of this, mobile home parks. Have you heard the interest of that?
No,
low
we
income
haven't,
or-
no, and right now, I think we've got them pretty limited to woodland zones, which there's plenty of woodland zones that you can put them in.
Right.
No,
No, I thought when we were putting the plan together, that you were like, we need to get something in place because this is
we
going to
were,
happen.
if you remember, we were pretty strict about the restrictions.
Well, you had to have it in 2 places.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
The state makes you put it in 2 zoning areas.
Yes.
So one was, we decided on, I forget. was it
Woodland,
Woodland, well, obviously Woodland, but the other one, we decided on
I think.
Village or-
Village,
Village, right? Because we were like, should we do the shoreline? But no,
by design.
Right.
Right, because we didn't want it.
right. I know, but so I'm just curious because in the past, I thought you said that there was talks of it and I just didn't know. and
There
that's
was,
affordable
you know, and there's great
housing.
examples, Vining has one in Farmington that's
Right.
really well done.
Right.
You know, but that again is, somebody's gonna have to take a piece of land, subdivide it, basically put the lots in and then lease the lots. That's how the nicer mobile home parks work. And then you actually own your home and you lease the land, so it's more an opportunity for somebody to take care of their house than just to throw something in there. But no, we haven't heard anything of that.
Any further discussion, folks, or any additional questions? All right, so let's move on to IEC electrical and data highway garage heat pump estimate. This is a change to the figure we were given previously, correct, Joe?
That is correct, Madam Chair. There's a slight increase. This original estimate was given to us, I believe, in July. So there's been some recalculations, mainly the cost of materials. So originally you were at authorized up to 50,000. I recommend authorizing up to 53,000. That'll cover our share of this.
We're good. Because it just doesn't keep going up. It's
No,
for real.
No, then the cost of operating them.
It's not
Well, and
really-
here's been kind of, I've made the statement before, it happened to us before with something else we bought, and all of a sudden they came back and hiked up the price on us, and I am not in favor of this continuing to happen. I can certainly understand, given the fact that we were given the date, you know, the information several months ago. But in that, my comment to that is, are we ready to make a decision? I mean, if what we say tonight, is that going to be final? Are we ready to move forward with whatever decision is decided on this evening? So that we're not another 6 months out and
Right.
somebody's saying, oh, sorry, the prices went up again.
Or at
I
least
thought
have
we
them
were.
lock in the price, for
I
heaven's
thought,
sakes.
what happened when he was here 2
Right.
meetings ago and discussed, I thought we were pulling the trigger. I thought this was lined up at the previous, before we were even elected, I thought this was all set. And they just came for information 2 meetings ago or whatever.
It hadn't been finalized at that point.
So it still hasn't now then?
The grant has been accepted, you've accepted the grant. But the estimate has increased since then.
But I guess what Ethan's saying, and what we're all just saying, if we're gonna say, okay, yes, we already approved it, right? I mean, we're moving forward with it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we're moving
Yeah, all right.
50,000
Yeah,
already.
okay, that's what I thought.
We're moving forward with it. So when Andrew, when I followed up and said, what are the next steps? He said, okay, we've got to get new service for the garage because CMP's got to get working on that. We got to have a work order for for the garage, and he said, and I've been looking at these numbers and they are out of date because they were put together in July. So we don't, I guess here's, we accepted the grant based on those numbers. We have not yet signed a contract with Andrew. I think that's the missing piece. I haven't signed this estimate. I didn't sign it, I haven't signed the estimate yet.
Okay, let's get her done.
I don't expect this to be a trend. I was surprised that it happened, but I understand.
Did, Joe, when you, Madam Chair, sorry, but when you, received the initial quote, and I think what we asked, the last time that fellow was here was, can you give us an itemized list? And this is not an itemized list. I mean, I did a little research about what these units are. You know, there's 536,000 BTU units, there's 2 12,000, there's 1 6,000. You know, and what I came up with is it's probably half the cost of this quote is equipment and materials and half is labor. It seems like I'm just guessing because I don't see it itemized, but you know, there's a huge price range in the 36,000 BTU units that I saw online even just this morning. I mean, to see the price go up by $3,000 in a matter of, you know, just since July seems crazy almost. I mean, I wonder if it would be worth a discussion just to say, hey, you know, we'd love to sign a contract, but can you honor your original prices?
That's what the board would like,
I mean, I don't know, maybe $3,000 isn't a lot, it just, he was just here.
He was just here, and for him not to have known at the time that he was here, that this may be potentially something we were looking at. The same thing happened a while ago, and I asked them to go good with the price, the original price. They of course came back and said no, and the board voted to move forward anyway. But
Right.
I get that an estimate is just that. It's an estimate of cost, and costs do change throughout whatever this time and span of space may be. I get that it's subject to change because it is by definition an estimate.
Right.
But he was just here, and there is no way he didn't know this $3,000 change had happened.
And if he didn't, shame on him, he should have revised.
Because
looked at
we
stuff.
voted already
came
to
up.
approve $1.
Right.
So I'm up for whatever the rest of the board is up for, whatever your pleasure is. Somebody throw a motion at us.
Where would Madam Chair, where would the $3,000 in extra come from? What fund?
the highway reserve.
Highway reserve? Yeah.
And what does that do to the balance of the highway reserve, Joe?
There's about 380,000 in there currently, approximately.
How much do we want to play with the $3,000 change?
I mean, that's the thing, and
How
you
much
know,
do
is
we
it
wanna
gonna
play with
stall it
3,000?
even more and then the prices go up again?
I'd love to get rid of heat pumps in general. But that's just. Well,
I'm okay with that, I mean, it's just, it begs the question, you know,
we gotta get going down there because now we're at the.
They're gonna need
November,
heat.
so
Because it's
yeah.
cold.
So I'll make a motion to approve, over $3,000 from the highway reserve to cover the increase in the heat pump installation at Town Garage.
Motion by Jim,
Second.
second by Sam. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. The Aquatic Village Transportation Study.
I'm still dealing with that last thing.
Oh.
We'd made, you know, given them that, like, we're moving forward with this, we did that motion, like, we'd accept. Okay, we got that going. Still in limbo.
Okay. All right, Joe, I'm gonna give you the floor because I know this is related to you kind of had discussions on what the plan forward from here should be, might be, where are we on this lovely thing?
Sure, Madam Chair. So there are some copies of this floating around. Those actually were in the back room from the last time we talked about it. I said, well, here's a good use of these, so you can have them as talking points. There's a couple of them over there. I'm referring to the final, that's the draft final report, but that's the one accepted. So yes, I have communicated with Matt Ross from Maine DOT. He's our point person for this project. And Maine DOT is a partner with us on this locally initiated project. So really, I'll summarize what Matt has shared with us. There are at least three options. Number one, you can table the study. Number two, you could implement the entire project as discussed in the feasibility study. Or we could talk about phasing or parts of it that you feel are top priorities. So, you know, if there are safety concerns, like the intersection of 17 and 16, if you think that that's the number one concern, to have the truck area there and work on that, or if you think a portion of the sidewalk is a safety concern, like from River's Edge to the grocery, you know, if you want to kind of look at those in pieces, or if you want to look at the whole project as one project and begin having that, you know, design for construction. There's one on here that's another option that I see that's not listed in this email, but it is, we could table this and begin discussions about, you know, downtown Rangeley and have kind of the mega project of upgrades. It's probably pretty ambitious. However, it does leverage, potentially, you know, give good leverage for federal funds, you know, for both projects being put together. You don't need to decide this tonight. You have time to think about this, talk with your constituents. You could all workshop on it if you wanted to. And the DOT is ready. When you're ready, you say, okay, we think this is the next step we want to take. They'll come in and we'll talk as partners. But, it really is, you know, kind of up to you which way you want to go with it. You would have to, another thing I should add, I've probably talked about this individually with some of you. We'll have to share some of this with the state, right? I mean, we're not getting 100%, so we'll have to have funding. I think there should probably be some type of town meeting warrant article that says, you know, we will appropriate this funding. That is going to be a key ingredient in making sure this project gets the legislative body to vote on it, you know, so that we don't have confusion about that. So whichever way we go, and similar with the Aquatic Park, you'll have the town meeting warrant article. So I mean, it's really up to the group. Another piece of that of the project, it's kind of freestanding, if you will, is from Haynes Landing to the Haynes Landing parking lot. You know, if you break that off right now, you know, or maybe you look at the whole thing as a group. I don't see any harm in that. Is look at the whole project, seeing if that's something you want to, you know, have designed now, or start designing. Once you design it, there's a little more skin in the game. You know, we paid for the feasibility study now. We know that the town's got $50,000 or so in that. You know, once you start designing it, you'll have at least that into the design. So we want to be sure that, you know, what we build, what we start designing is something we're serious about moving forward in terms of construction.
Questions, comment, yeah, concerns.
Have we heard much more feedback from the community on this? And as far as, I mean, just kind of throwing this out there, what about, like, there was some, you know, obviously a lot of people that showed up to that meeting, I can't remember.
In
Was that
June, yeah.
Okay, June, thank you. And a lot of feedback, a lot of upset, a lot of, you know, and good feedback. I'm wondering if not, you know, getting a group of those members together to help us, attack what is needed. What, them telling us, like, I mean, I'm not trying to throw us under the bus, but they know more about their town than I do, and what's gonna work better and what they need. And instead of sidewalks that, are just gonna be in the way from deliveries and parking that'll disrupt, and all of that stuff is really good info. I know we probably got lists of that as well, but I don't know if like asking, and obviously having another town meeting on that before the warrant. Is that another gathering of this?
A workshop.
A workshop,
I do
thank you,
a
that's the
workshop.
word, a workshop. If that's possible, and then maybe going from there and picking out, 5 people that, we can really work with and get some serious feedback. I just don't wanna go blinded in this and just start making decisions that I'm really not prepared to do. Does that sound-
And Madam Chair, I think we got a lot of good feedback, and there were alterations made to the study. There were some elements of it that the engineers, held firm on, and I don't blame them because there were safety implications. But by and large, a lot of that feedback was funneled into the plan. I do agree certainly that, and I would recommend to the board that we keep a very public communication strategy, publicly targeted communication strategy, keep the doors open so folks can chime in on this. I don't know if I would recommend revisiting the study again. I think it's really about, what do you want to build? Do you want to build the whole thing, or do you want to build a third of it now, or a middle third? And then through the design process is where you would fine tune those things about, do you need the access management here next to this place? You can fine tune that in design, so that, you've got hopefully some compromise, but there are elements to projects like this, and I don't want to misguide anybody. There are elements with the town, if you're gonna build it, you probably will have to be firm on some of them and say, we have to do this if we do the whole thing, in terms of certain safety elements, so.
Might be worth doing a workshop just with what came back, getting that group in here again, how they fine tune that plan down, what the state fine tuned it down to, just to get everybody in the room again and say, this is where we're at. Not that we have to do it all, but what are your main concerns out of this? Would you like to see the whole thing, or 50% or whatever? I just know how adamant they were at that meeting, so I don't want to leave them out.
Right, I mean, that's my big concern.
Also, I agree, I think a workshop would definitely work. It's, you almost have to do it, and I understand that, the study's been done, but in terms of the funding going forward, say, this is a what if scenario. So does Maine DOT help finance the plan as well as the execution? So that we would get some help on both of those elements, because you can't just put a sidewalk in, you actually, because it's the liability and everything else, you have to actually have a plan. So would they help pay for that as well?
They would help with engineering. The ratio of assistance that they will provide really depends on how much value they can add. And that's kind of a strange way to explain it, but they're more interested in making connectivity on the whole project. So they're likely to give higher percentage for the whole project. If the project shrinks, they're probably going to shrink the participation. Generally speaking, I cannot speak for Maine DOT.
Right, because they get funding
Generally,
from the federal government for
Exactly.
the larger projects, right?
But they do participate with design. They're absolutely our partners with design and construction. The ratio depends on the size of the project.
Is the grant funding restricted in terms of if you did a stepped execution plan? Are there any limitations in terms of extrapolating time out by 3 years or 4 years, or can you kind of steer your own ship that way?
I think the answer to that is yes. Now, generally, the DOT, I will add this, how do I put it? their leadership can change from time to time, generally with the governor and so forth, so I wouldn't project out too much more than 3 or 4 years, but I think, you know, they would be willing to do it in phased, but we really would have to talk to them as partners about, you know, how much time are they willing to add into the equation. And that being said, they are not, you know, the first bullet point here, so we could table it till, they're not telling us you gotta
Right.
go with this, you know, this is still our initiative, this is us, the town, determining what's best for us, asking them, how can we work together, so. The short answer is yes, they're willing to phase things.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board? Questions, Mark?
I was just gonna say that I think you're on the right track as far as trying to get some more community engagement in the process. Of the people that I've spoken to that took the time to become familiar with any part of this, none of them think that the entire project ought to be implemented that I spoke with. So I think you need to get them together and find out which priorities they would like to move forward with and things like that. I think, you know, that's just the little bit that I've heard from the people that are familiar, and I think there's way more people that are unfamiliar with what's in that document than are familiar with. And I think if that whole thing went forward without more involvement, I think it would be a pretty negative experience for them. Yeah.
So, I'm just gonna, so my comment is, I'm gonna make probably a couple comments. I'm a proponent of the, next phase being an additional public hearing involving an additional public hearing. I'm not sure that the phase or the plan in its entirety should move forward as a whole, but that's just because of the different stages. I am a huge proponent of the safety issues being addressed and sooner rather than later. I get that it's gonna lead to a little bit of discomfort implementing some of it, but that is our responsibility, is to keep all of our constituents and our visitors safe, and that is our top priority. Anything else? Okay, at this point though, Joe, just to really quick reflect over it, we're at design phase conversations. Okay.
If you choose to be, yes, you can table it and never pick it up again. The next step would be design.
Yeah, that would be a good idea, spend that kind of money and table
No,
it, never
but-
touch it again, that would be
Right.
that would be a poor decision as well. So, if we're feeling comfortable about scheduling a public hearing, who would we want at that table? We would essentially want somebody from Maine DOT, wouldn't we?
Would we want a public hearing or a workshop?
Public hearing gives public the opportunity to give us input, workshop is really for us. So it's really gonna depend on, I mean,
And then we get the workshop.
because we've approved this plan.
Mhm.
So if each of us has an idea of how it should be implemented, what phases it should be implemented in, I think that's great for us to communicate that. And then to get input from our constituents.
Mhm.
And that includes all of them, because Aquasic is a village within the town of Rangeley and we are one unit. So that includes everybody. And to get our constituents in the room with us and say, if there are portions of this they want to see. Yeah, so can you get some dates for us,
Sure.
please and thank you?
For your next meeting?
Yes, that would be fabulous.
Okay.
Thank you. Right, really quick, just because we're under old business, it's not on the agenda, and I just want to throw it out there, are the, yeah, oh my gosh, the banking stuff, that stuff,
The RFPs.
is that coming back to us next meeting? Thank you, I just noticed that it wasn't on this one, and I was like, perfect. Okay, Moving on to new business, compliance with Maine tax laws. This is the lovely letter, just reminding us to be in compliance with.
And we are, Madam Chair, we send out 706 forms every year, folks respond. This is directed to municipal officer singular, I don't know why we do that, because you folks are municipal officers. Select. Want to make sure you had that, so it was directed to you.
Make a motion to adjourn. Oh,
I was wondering. Were you the message? I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Make sure Tim had to pull the trigger. That was close.
Perfect. Oh, and look at that direct sign ordinance committee. We did talk about that, didn't we? Sorry. Okay, that's already been done, right?
We made the motion.
We did,
That's
we
right.
did.
Hold on, God.
Well, extend the solar moratorium and schedule a public hearing. What we need to do is schedule the public hearing to extend the solar. We just have the wording kind of backwards, right?
Yeah.
So we're having a public hearing at our next meeting on that?
If you schedule it this evening, yes.
If you schedule it this
Okay.
evening, if I get a motion to schedule it this evening.
Make a motion to schedule a public hearing for November 20th on the solar moratorium. Second.
Nice. Motion by Jim, second by Ethan. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. All right. This wasn't an agenda item, is it? Yes, it is. Never mind, I found it. Sorry, guys. Town manager report, operations update that is provided at the next meeting. November 7th, tomorrow. There's elections. This polling place is open 8 AM to 8 PM.
Correct.
Sandy River's open 10 AM to 8 PM. I don't know about any of the other ones. I just know about those ones. Please come up. Other business, monthly financials, we all should have received those in email. And CRC resignation, we have received a resignation. Terry. So we do need a motion to accept the resignation.
Motion to accept resignation from Terry Coleman.
Motion by Wendy, second by Ethan. Any discussion? I would like to say thank you so much. These boards can be so difficult. And I thank you so much for your time and your efforts. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Anybody have any select board communication? Jim? Yeah.
No, well, I do have something I should have brought up under old business, I
No.
guess, but I just, the past 2 months, it seems a lot longer than that. I don't know, we've been talking with the police chief and whatnot, and I just didn't see it on the agenda tonight. Just want to know where we are, because we're all in agreement, we want to keep the ball rolling as budget and negotiations and everything, we're gonna be here before we know it, so.
So that is where we are. Per the last meeting that we had, I don't know if you'll recall, we did have a conversation that we would be moving forward. I think negotiations are getting ready to start up. So we are at that phase of this.
Madam Chair, yes, I'm meeting with department heads and our consultant next Thursday. Begin getting proposals ready for the management team, which has 2 select board members on it. And then we'll carry that forward to negotiations. So there's a meeting scheduled next week.
Ball rolling.
Perfect. Yes, we want to keep it going. Sam, anything? Ethan, anything?
I'm gonna segue into Jim a little bit, just because we all want to keep that ball rolling. Just want to emphasize the importance, in my mind, of a police force on duty. I personally waited 45 minutes for a county sheriff last night, and I needed one sooner than that. And this is not a knock on the county sheriff. It's me saying the importance of having somebody on duty within our area that can get there sooner than that.
I agree. I mean, we've heard from everybody that's come and talked to us from different departments, and they're all in agreement of where we need to be and where we need to go, because we really don't have any other options. And if you look at the craziness that's gone on around us in the past 2 months, it's important, there's no doubt.
Anything else, Wendy? Thank you so much. I have nothing this evening. We do not have an executive session. Guess what time it is, folks? Jim, go ahead. Motion by Jim. Second by Sam. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Joe, please tell Tracy I promised to bring in my packet, my thing